Yo, it's Mastermind MMA, and the first thing I have to say is Daniel Cormier, you bitch, you. Listen, I was just online and I see an article, and it says on bjpen.com Daniel Cormier wants rematch with John Jones sooner rather than later. Hyphen UFC 200 question mark. And I don't know if I said it in the podcast or in one of my other videos, but I said, yo, DC is probably pulling out just so he could buy himself a little more time and get UFC 200 pay-per-view points as the champion, which he's not. But in his look, he knows it's the end. He knows he had his time with the belt when John Jones was gone. He was hoping John Jones is going to get in some trouble and he's going to have more time with the... Because listen, I think Daniel Cormier thinks anybody but John Jones in the division he can beat. But he knows he cannot beat John Jones. And he knows John Jones is the rightful king of the light heavyweight division. So DC was talking. No, I'm not even gonna fucking call him DC. I'm gonna call him Daniel Cormier because you're a bitch. We don't have that rapport where I could call you DC. I'm not a Luke Rockholder, Kane, or an AKA guy. Like John Jones at the end when he whooped his ass, he didn't say I don't like Daniel Cormier. I mean, he probably did say that. But he did say that. He was like, I don't like Daniel Cormier. That's why I'm beating this way. I don't remember. I gotta check if he said I don't like DC or I don't like Daniel Cormier. Regardless, he's being a bitch. And as much as I would like to respect him, I can't. Because of the things he's doing. With that motherfucking hospital pic he posted to, because bro, he called into Ariel Helwani on the MMA Hour the same time he offered his camp up to OSP. He said, oh, yeah, I'm just going into the doctor's office right now, getting a procedure done. It doesn't have anything to do with my injury. It's just, some stem cells in my knee from, the old injury. So he's not getting anything done for the injury he pulled out for. Yet... he posts up a picture with a motherfucking shower cap and a hospital gown. I don't know if you guys seen that meme online where it's like that motherfucker at the context they say the meme is he's trying to get out of a test or something, and it shows him in a hospital gown laying in a bed with the motherfucking iPhone earbuds in his nose, the oxygen and the charger, the IV wire and shit. That's exactly what Daniel Cormier did. Because I guarantee you that picture wasn't even taken for the knee stem cell shots. I think DC went into his gallery, into his camera roll, scrolled and scrolled and scrolled and scrolled, saw an old ass picture from some procedure, and then put that bitch up. Now, I said if DC, in my podcast or in another video, I said if DC tries to pull this shit and just get on the 200 card, I say we all know who the belt is. It's John's belt. So just give Jones Rumble at 200. In my opinion, I say do the Grand Prix and even give John fucking DC and a title defense at the same day or in the next night or something. Make DC a motherfucking Fox card where John just knocks him out and then he defends it against Rumble. Then the division's cleaned out. So here's the quote that Daniel Cormier said to ESPN.com. I don't want to be sitting long. John said he was open into fighting at UFC 200 if he comes through this clean. I would definitely want to fight around that time frame too. I don't want to wait until a November card in New York, waste a year in my career. I'm 37 and finally at the top of my game. I need to be competing. Or I need to be competing because I'm sure he has a lisp when that fake fucking tooth is out of his mouth. But there's a lot of things I want to address in this message. First, and the thing that stood out the most was him talking about, I don't want to wait until a November card in New York. After UFC 200, which is going to be in July, realistically, how many cards are they going to have? Because if they don't, if they don't put Lawler at 200, they're going to need to do that. That's going to be a pay-per-view. That's going to be an event. They said GSP, if he doesn't come back 200, from what I've heard and read, he's not coming back 200, but they said in the fall. So GSP is going to be a main event pay-per-view. And so that's August, September, so like October. You see, and I wanted this April 23rd fight to be in New York because I've never been to a UFC fight. You see, I'm not going to go to, nothing against Newark or anything, but like, I'm just not going to go to the Prudential Center or somewhere else. Like, I'm just not, you know what I mean? It's no offense to that, but I just want to see a fight in New York. You know, there's so many boxing matches at MSG, and it's only going to be worth it for me to go if it's in my home state. You know what I mean? Because, like, anyway, so I wanted the Jones Cormier April 23rd bout like months ago to be in New York. It was back when it was still illegal in New York, and before any hearings, and I think the preliminary hearing or some shit got delayed or they voted no. So then that meant that April 23rd was completely gone, that it wouldn't be happening in New York. So, and Cormier said from the beginning, I don't want to fight John Jones in his home state. He doesn't deserve that. And I don't even think he said home state. He said hometown. Because home state would be more accurate. Because I'm from Brooklyn, and I've lived in many places in New York. And I also have a residence in Pennsylvania. So New York, you're basically mostly a New Yorker if you're in the 5 boroughs. And in Long Island, because they got the LIRR, you could get in pretty quickly. And places like somewhere around it. But like, it's mostly like the 5 boroughs, or even I'll give it to the extent of some of the tri-state area, because like a Frankie Edgar's a Jersey guy, but he'd still do decent in New York, because that's like the East Coast at the end of the day. But when it comes down to like pure New York fans, there's still that New York Jersey rivalry. So, you know, Chris Weidman's kind of that guy. He's a Long Island guy. Chris Weidman's more of considered to be a New Yorker than John Jones. And I'm not saying this to discredit John Jones, because who better to fucking rep New York than John Jones? But John Jones is from Endicott. See, now, if you were fighting in Buffalo or motherfucking Rochester, then you'd be fighting in John Jones, like, closer to his hometown. Or even if it was in Endicott. Even if you're motherfucking fighting in Niagara Falls, you're closer to John Jones's hometown. So, MSG is just more legendary. Bro, John Jones said it straight up in that interview with Helwani. He was like, might as well do it for the better purse. Quite frankly. Like, yo, let's get this money. We're doing it. Might as well get more bank anyway. But no, DC wants to do it at 200. Get that bank. He knows his fake belt is gone. DC knows he's losing it. He's just trying to hold on to it longer, and he's hoping best case scenario with more time he'll figure something out, but it's just delaying the inevitable. Why would you, as someone who's, and he said that I don't want to sit around and waste the year of my life. Hey, real quick, bitch. You almost got knocked the fuck out by Alexander Gustafsson. You fucking dry humped Rumble, and that was it. Before that, at the Unstoppable conference, you're like, yeah, when's the last time you fought? Why are you watching videos of me in the dark? Watch. I fought 2 fights. Go watch those. Motherfucker. They weren't impressive. And he's like, oh, when's the last time you fought? Oh, yeah, last time you fought me. No. Last time John Jones fought is when you broke down in tears. You know, he had a way of making himself feeling bigger in the cage, and I'll be back. And then I don't know if you guys saw the Fox Sports interview before the post-fight press conference, whenever Cormier was. And John Jones was like, man, I don't like DC, and I hope he's crying in the corner somewhere. I know he is. And Brian Stan, if you catch Brian Stan's reaction, he's like, damn. But he tries to play it really low-key. He's like, fuck, that's cold. But I was all for it, dude. Like, and Jones said, bro, if the shoe was on the other foot, DC would be talking bad shit. That's true. People want to hate on John Jones because he's great, and they want to see him fall, because they're gonna just talk shit when you're in the discussion of the best. But when you fall, they don't give a fuck about you anymore. Anderson Silva, realistically, he only lost to Chris Weidman. And they're talking like, oh, it's a wrap on Anderson. Like, he ran the division, and they're not even really talking about him like he's a contender. He looked good at the Bisping fight, but he was a little, you know what? You can't even say that's age, because that could have been a little rust, because he was suspended. Which I'm not even get into that, but so when Anderson fell, there's people didn't really care about him anymore. GSP got knocked out. He had an opportunity to avenge that loss. GSP is still relevant, but people argue that GSP lost his last fight against Hendricks. Personally, honestly, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I can see that. I could very much see that. But as a fan of GSP, I could see it going his way too. And out of pure respect, I could see it going his way. And I mean, I know that might not be right, but you got to give it to the guy. Johnny Hendricks was dominant, but not dominant enough that GSP winning the belt was like, oh, that's bullshit. There's still a very, very, you could see it going that way. So Hendricks didn't pull the trigger. He didn't get the job done. But anyway, they just if John Jones get beaten and he can't avenge the loss, no one's gonna give a fuck. So people just hate on him because he's just the one right now. So I think he is the one. I don't see John Jones losing to anybody. I don't see anybody taking Jones out. Like, even, I mean, you never know. It is MMA. Something might happen. But if it does, I see Jones coming right back. So DC, if this is just your hope to get on a 200 card, you might have did it. You might have stubbed your toe hard enough that you fucking injured your way onto UFC 200 card. So enjoy it as your third title defense attempt in your head at the largest UFC card. But you know what, man? I said in another video that if Jones gets on 200, they got to make him the headliner. But if it's a John Jones fight with Daniel Cormier as champ, come on. You already know it's Mastermind MMA.